Live stream.
I couldn't hear. It was like in a tough one. Maybe bad sometimes.
And you should be good to go, Mr. Chairman.
All set?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the April 9th, 2025 meeting to order. Please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Noreen, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Murphy,
Here.
Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Minor,
Here.
Commissioner Nathis,
Here.
Commissioner Pascarelli,
She's excused.
Chairman Sobieski,
Here.
Commissioner Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Here.
and Commissioner Wakama. You're all set.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to, we need one person, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to appoint Commissioner Hoffman for Commissioner Pascarelli. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, Mr. Planner?
No changes?
Okay. We'll open up for public participation for items not listed on the agenda, limit 3 minutes. Anybody wishing to talk at public participation?
No one online, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Empty house.
we'll give it a couple more minutes. We're all set?
Yep, I think we're all set, and if anyone shows up. we
Okay,
have a second.
zoning officers report.
Any questions?
The only question I have, Eric, is you seem to be taking down an awful lot of these small signs there. I think 79 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that is correct. It's spring, so everybody, yeah, so all the power washers, the yard lawn guys, they all start putting them out.
I personally think you're doing a great job. I'm sure the commission might feel the same way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Remarks by commissioners? Any remarks by any of the commissioners? Commissioner Fox or Commissioner Minor?
No comments.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
Okay. First, public hearing.
Yep, so, Mr. Chairman, what I can do is I'll now read in the notice for the public hearing.
Okay,
The procedures are first, you want to do those or?
Oh, yeah, you can read the procedures. Since we don't have that, I'll just, if you want, I can actually read
You want
them.
me to read them? You can-
Yeah, go ahead.
Procedures for public hearings. The order of proceedings at public hearings shall be as follows. Convening by the chairperson. B, reading of the notice by the commission secretary or a commissioner designated by the chairperson to act in their stead. C, presentation by the applicant. D, town planner report on the application. E, persons wishing to speak in favor of the application, limited to 3 minutes per person. F, persons wishing to speak in opposition to the application, limited to 3 minutes per person. G, rebuttal by the applicant, limited to 5 minutes total. During a public hearing, it shall be within the discretion of the chairperson whether the time limitations should be varied slightly, provided the commission consents to any such variance by a majority vote.
All right, so as a reminder, there are 2 public hearings that are continued from the last meeting, so those will not be read. So Newington Town Plan and Zoning Commission notice of public hearing, April 9th, 2025 at 7 PM. Notice is hereby given that the town of Newington, that the Newington Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing in council chambers, room 103 at Town Hall, 200 Garfield Street, Newington, Connecticut on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 to consider the following petitions. Petition 25 TPZ 25-3, special permit section 3.15.3 for a restaurant at 196 Kitts Lane, aka 162 to 192 Kitts Lane and 196 to 206 Kitts Lane in the BBT Business Berlin Turnpike Zone. Applicant contact Patrick Chan, owner 172 Kitts LLC. Petition TPZ 25-5, zoning regulation text amendment to section 6.1, street parking and loading regulations, and section 6.1.1, add section 6.1.1, electrical vehicle charge parking requirements, and amend section 9.2 definitions to add a definition for electric vehicle charging station. Applicant Newington TPZ, contact Paul Dixon. This public hearing will be a Zoom webinar hybrid meeting. Information on how to attend will be posted on the town website at link follows. These petitions and related materials are available for public inspection at the town planner's office, town hall, room 204, and through the published agenda at the town plan and zoning commission agenda center. Link follows. Persons who require an accommodation to participate in this public hearing should contact the town planner at 860-665-8578 or town planner at newingtonct.gov, not less than 24 hours before the public hearing. Submitted, Paul Dixon, town planner, and this ran in the rare reminder on March 27th and April 3rd.
Thank you.
And the hearing signs were up.
You want to read the petition, Abe? Steve? Sure. Okay. A petition TPZ -25-1 site plan approval and special permit, section 3.19.5 for drive-through restaurant at 56 Costello Road in the PD plan development zone. Applicant contact Sammy Abrunsaro, owner Zin LLC. This is a continuation of the public hearing from our meeting on March 26th, 2025. Okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sammy Abu Nasra. You want address?
I'm sorry?
56 Costello Road, Newington.
Good evening, Stephen Judas with Cole Civil and Survey at 876 South Main Street in Plantsville.
I apologize for butchering the last name.
It's okay. It's been happening for the last 25 years.
He's used to it at this point. I share the same struggles with my last name.
That's right.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commission members. My name is Stephen Judas, as I mentioned, here with Sammy on this continued hearing. I know my associate Brian Panico presented this to you previously, but he's on vacation this week, so I'm filling in for him. I know that most of the site, I know the site has presented to you. We've gone through the design criteria of what we're proposing, and that there were a couple minor things that the commission had questions on as far as queuing and the drive entrance that we're proposing to continue to use. Scott Hesketh is with us. He had prepared a letter regarding some of the concerns that you had, and we did get a letter from Taco John kind of identifying their expected usage at the drive-through. I don't know, Scott, you want to cover that, or what's easiest for you?
Yep. And while they're shifting, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to note that I have handed out that letter that was received today from Mr. Hesketh regarding the updated traffic analysis. Again, that was received today. And I received on Monday when I came in, the Taco John's, they provided a letter to the owner that was utilized by the traffic engineer from Mr. Jaffrey from Taco John's. So I just would like to, again, submit those into the record.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, Scott Hesketh, traffic engineer, F.A. Hesketh and Associates, and our office is in East Granby, Connecticut. So the commission had some comments and questions about the volumes of the proposed restaurant with service during peak hours and typical days. So we did ask for representatives of Taco John's to provide us some information. A copy of their letter is provided attached to our report. They indicate to us that they have about, on average, company-wide, about 126 sales on a daily basis. That approximately 64% of their total sales are through the drive-through, and that during their peak times, say between the hours of 11 and 2 o'clock, they average about 65 vehicles through the drive-through during those 3 hours. So that's 64%, I'm sorry, 65 sales during those 3 hours. And at 64%, about 42% or 42 vehicles use the drive-through window over a 3-hour period. So not a significant number. I think the commission was probably concerned about, Dunkin' Donuts, which can serve up to 120 vehicles an hour through the drive-through window. We're looking at 42 vehicles over a 3-hour period through the drive-through window. That they do indicate to us that their average service time for vehicles is about 181 seconds during the dinner time hour. But that's from the time that someone says, welcome to Taco John's and thank you, have a nice day. Now, you go through the order board, pay window, and then you pick up your food. So from an engineering standpoint, what we're really concerned about is how fast we can get people to drive away from the window or to drive away from the order board to start the process. And that typically takes about 60 seconds at each one of those places. We provided to you a queuing analysis attached to the report. If I use the whole 3 minutes, if I figure that someone leaves the window every 3 minutes over that 3-hour period, then I can handle about 60 vehicles over 3 hours at the window. And we're looking at 42 vehicles making use of the service during that 3-hour period. So based on that, the probability that we have 10 or the probability that we have more than 10 vehicles in the queue at any given time is about 2%. Pretty low number. And again, if you assume that it's 60 seconds for every vehicle to leave, I mean, the probability that there's going to be a queue of more than 5 vehicles is probably unlikely. It'll happen on occasion. Sometimes the 4 people just show up at the same time. It happens. But on average, it's very unlikely that we're going to have more than 10 vehicles in the queue. And I think we're providing queuing for, I think, up to 14 vehicles out to Costello Road. So the probability of exceeding 14 vehicles is about 0.5%, according to the queuing analysis. So I think those numbers should allay any fears that the commission has in terms of stacking distance at the drive-through window. And then that leads into one of the other concerns the commission had about the driveway to the site being so close to the Berlin Turnpike. Well, the reason that would be a concern is if the queues are extending out of that driveway and back into Costello Road and potentially up to the Berlin Turnpike. And with the numbers that we're looking at here, that shouldn't be a concern either. So hopefully that addresses the commission's and staff concerns. I'm sorry for the lateness of the report. Miscommunication between us. I had sent it over to the team and I thought it was had been submitted and it hadn't. So that's why it came in today. I understand that the engineering staff wants to take a look at it and verify what we said, but I think that those numbers should help dispel any concerns the commission may have. Any specific questions, I'll be happy to take them up.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Woods. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question on the entrance to the project from Costello Road, and really it could be the exit. So they're going to come through the drive-through, or the customers are going to be leaving, one of their stalls. With the volume that you are expecting, there should be no backup at all for traffic going onto the Berlin Turnpike.
That's correct, yeah. And
If I remember, you could hold 14 cars. In the queue
we
lane.
can hold 14 cars in the queue from the window back to Costello Road. We don't think but based on these numbers, we'll never get there.
And it's 42 cars per hour just for the drive-through.
42 cars
With
over a
each-
3-hour period
Yeah, excuse me, for a
for
3-hour
the drive-through.
period.
Yeah, so it's
And
relatively
18
low number.
For that same period for walk-ins.
Right. And
So
the
chances would be very low.
chances are very low, in my
Again,
opinion.
anything can happen. You're gonna get another COVID situation.
And the capacity analysis we presented previously indicated that, the queuing on Costello Road under both the background and combined conditions is not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And, Mr. Planner, is it police chief? Who's the traffic authority for the town of Newington? The police chief?
Lieutenant Ryan Dean.
Yeah.
Have we talked to Lieutenant Dean to see if there's any issues on his end with this?
Yep, so I haven't heard back. I did send over a copy of the plans and the traffic report. I will actually, since I just got this today, I will send over a copy of this traffic report as well.
And do you know about what their turnaround time is?
Well, I will impress
If they
upon
turn it
them that
around.
we would really need to close this public hearing at the next hearing. So ideally no later than next week, so I can actually get something out in the staff report.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner
other
Fox
questions?
has his hand raised online.
I'm sorry?
Commissioner Fox has
Oh,
his hand raised online.
Commissioner Fox, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chairman. Sam, I'm sorry, a scratchy throat. You were mentioning that, by the way, I like your answers to Mr. Commissioner to Steve's questions. That you were giving those average times, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Through other that other locations had. May I ask where were those taken from? What kind of location were they? I mean, are they similar to Berlin Turnpike? Are they smaller towns, larger towns? Can you answer that for me?
According to their memo, these are national averages. I'm not sure how many sites they have. I know the two closest to us happen to be just north of Boston. But there's one in Boston and one north of Boston. So, but these are, according to their letter, are the nationwide averages. I can't tell you what types of towns they're in.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, like if they have like the same traffic counts as the turnpike does, or were they way different? So
I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
all right, well, thank you.
400 restaurants, 23 states. Gotta love Google. You all set, Commissioner Fox?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I did say thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hartby.
This is actually a question for Paul. You noted in your review of April the 3rd about a proposal to increase, I guess, part of the green space, the 5,860 square feet of green space, and remove the payment from the 35-foot setback. Have they had an opportunity to respond to that, or?
Yeah, so that's actually that's what the plan does. So by, again, you can kind of see a highlight on the screen. I don't see whether you can see the cursor there, but where this underground level spreader is in the front, and actually the area closer to this proposed building is all currently paved pretty much right up to the property line now. And this proposed plan will be pulling that back and adding in the green space. Again, this is, the applicant's definite good faith attempt to remove, because they're encouraged, any use along the Berlin Turnpike that has pavement within the 35-foot front yard exclusionary zone, for lack of a better word, for pavement and above ground structures. If it's pre-existing, they're encouraged when they redevelop a site to pull it back a little. So that's actually what this plan does. So this plan does increase the amount of non-paved area in front of the site.
Okay, and I know there's a lot of concern about Costello, but why does Costello Road have as a designation a neighborhood street?
I would think, without going into those, it's mainly based upon how it's accessed, the level of traffic it receives. So whether you call it a local road, a neighborhood street, every town uses kind of a little bit different terminology. I think it's kind of general. I would have to get the very specifics on why we called it that. But I would say it's likely just because it's not a connector road. It is not a primary. So
I'm just trying to get a sense of where this traffic would be coming from, because I took a little tour down there. I haven't been down there in a while. And one of the major companies, I think it's called Costello Industries, has gone bankrupt. It's not there anymore. And I know a lot of the truck fare that used to come in isn't there. So are we concerned, and I would think it's a legitimate concern, that if that gets re-inhabited, you'd be concerned about?
I think, well, the concern more with Costello Road, and this is kind of in talking with the town engineer too, and how we've seen kind of things work out. And we know too that recently that traffic island got put in, and this got turned into no left turn out of Costello Road. That was part of the 3333 Berlin Turnpike project, the light and the whole DOT approval through OSTA on how traffic changed on there. So this went to a right turn out. that put the island in. We did have some back and forth with the occupants who were up there, and they had some concerns, because again, they are running trucks out there, they're running businesses. And they had a concern of not being able to make the swing right. Again, not to go too much into detail, but every time a truck hits a curb, it kind of dings. They have an automatic system. It dings their drivers, and their drivers can actually potentially get fired for that. So that got redesigned a little, working with the town engineer, which was great. But our main concern, and the town engineer's concern, is if traffic backs up, not necessarily on the Berlin Turnpike, because again, we're talking about, he has that concern too. But if traffic backs up on Costello, you have these businesses that are running large trucks out of there. And if you have that impediment to be able to travel through Costello, that just adds one more thing to Costello Road after it got turned into a, right turn only type of road. So that's our concerns and sensitivity towards Costello Road and those businesses, again, that have occupied that space for a while.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Nothing.
I have concerns with this driveway where it is, even though you explained that. But if we're bringing heavy trucks through there, which are longer than cars, obviously, and we're going to have a backup in there. So I want to have our town engineer review this, your numbers, and see where we stand on this. I've seen not only through the pandemic, but also certain times with the Starbucks on Fenn Road, where we backed all the way up on Myra Cohen Way, because even though they say they can get this done in that amount of time, all right, people sometimes will sit there and say, well, I'm not sure what I want. So it runs more than 3 or 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So I'm only concerned with the safety here. So I'd like our town engineer to review this, and I'd like to keep this open for one more meeting, if that's okay with the commission.
Can I add something here?
Sure.
So if you read in the letter, it's part of their operating procedures that if there's an order that is more than $30, to ask the customer to park, and then they walk the food for it. I have the operator online if you have questions in, but when I had a conversation with them, they never had an issue in Boston with anything about queuing or anything like that. I also, it's a very quick service restaurant. I mean, the reason they have 400 in a very short term is because they're trying to compete with Taco Bell, I guess. And the whole idea is to get it in and out in there as quickly as possible. And I think 42 cars in 3 hours, I think is just really nothing. I think we probably get that on a Saturday for the store too, so.
But I'm just concerned with the trucking, with the longer trucks stopping there, trying to get into the turnpike.
Yeah.
Which may very well impede your area there. That's what I'm wondering. That's why I want our town engineer to take a look at this.
Okay.
There may be some simple solution to it. I'm not sure. Maybe a traffic box. I don't know. But I want him to review this so we don't have any problems with this.
Is the concern vehicles exiting our site or trying to get into?
I'm
our
sorry?
site? Is the concern vehicles exiting our site or trying to get into?
No,
our
trying
site?
to, coming down Costello Road, if we have heavy trucking coming down Costello Road, box is 40 feet long,
Right.
plus the horse is another 10, that's 50 feet.
Mhm.
Put 2 of them together, you're past your driveway.
Right.
So I'm saying I want our town engineer to look at it, see what he thinks of it. And then I'd like to keep this open for one more meeting if possible. And let him digest this. You just got this today at 4 o'clock, Paul?
2 o'clock, but yeah, same difference.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to suggest to the commission.
Okay.
Okay?
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to add, because again, in talking with our town engineer earlier today, because I gave him the report. He's like, yeah, he was on his way out pretty much by the time he got it, and he couldn't be here tonight due to a previous engagement. But he said he may be available at the next meeting if the commission
Okay.
would like him
I'd
here.
like to have him here at the next meeting.
But what he had a question on, kind of a specific question, it's kind of the what is the importance on keeping, and this is something the applicant can answer, that driveway entrance, because the weighing the potential for potential for an issue versus driving up to the next one and queuing around. His question was, what is the importance of keeping that entrance at that location? And I think that's something that the applicant can likely respond to.
Also, Paul, did the fire marshal have any issues with this? Not
So-
the fire I'm talking, I'm sorry, not the fire marshal, the fire chief. Did he have any issues with the apparatus making the turn?
So there were no issues with apparatus making the turn, except he did share the same concerns with, you know, the what if on the backup. And that is the hard thing about drive-throughs. They do vary. You know, you have different operators that come in, some are fast, some are slow. Some do not have high volumes. And, you know, that's the thinking about the future too. Again, you can't hold any possible outcome against an applicant who's
No,
coming in front of you. Not
right.
saying you are, but to think about, okay, if this does transfer over to another one in the future, there's nothing really in our regulations that says, okay, they're required to come back in and take a look.
Correct.
But we are looking at what's in front of us. But again, there just is a concern there just because of the proximity and if Costello Road was blocked. But again, I think that frequency over that question is, you know, if there's a 1% chance that it does that, when would that 1% chance typically happen? How does that coincide with normal traffic? And what could be done if anything is needed to be done? And that would be the town engineer's review.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Commissioner Harpy.
may I read something here from the first conversation apparently that I assume it was Paul's conversation with my recommendation from the town engineer to resolve any potential queuing conflict could be added to modify the plan and access the closest driveway to the Berlin Turnpike to a exit-only driveway and direct inbound site traffic to the next entrance.
I'm sorry, I had to quiet down because I could hardly hear you with the voice there. But I believe I heard, you know, the town engineer's recommendation for turning it into an exit only.
Yeah, and well, it's a recommendation from the town planner to resolve any potential queuing conflict could be added to modify the plan and access at the closest driveway to the Berlin Turnpike to an exit-only driveway and direct inbound site traffic to the next entrance.
Yes, so that was the recommendation, again, with talking with the town engineer. Again, that's the concerns that I expressed even tonight from him, that he asked that question of why is it needed? That, you know, in his opinion, like that would be the solution to solve any potential issues. Because the amount of queuing that would go through the site would be something you would, if you saw the amount of queuing through this entire site, that would be remarkable, and there would be a big problem, and the restaurant would not be able to operate with a queue of 40 vehicles. That's not something that would normally happen.
Mr. Chairman.
So just trying to get a clarification.
Is that a question you want them to answer now so the engineer can look at? it, right?
Yes.
Please.
So the question about
One way.
one way.
One
So
way.
to make the site marketable, actually, and when we signed that contract, the entrance and exit close proximity to the Berlin Turnpike was essential for any business, especially in the beginning, the first 12 months to 18 months, because it's important for them to easy in, easy out into the site. Now, you know, Paul expressed to us that might be a potential. If there is an issue down the road, we can always come and revisit with the operator, you know, that we could do some reconfiguration to kind of address if there are queuing issues. But at the beginning, you know, the first 12 to 18 months, it's so hard for a operator, unless, you know, they hit it right at the gate and they have issues with queuing. I think they will recognize that this site is a home run, so we can configure right away. I mean, it's not just them. You understand also it's, you know, we operate also a furniture store there. So it's important for us that the entrance and exit is as flow is smooth and for all our customers in there. But it's essential for that business at the beginning to be that close to the Berlin Turnpike. It's in and out quickly.
Would the commission entertain us revisiting this 12 months from now and coming back before the commission to talk about, you know, once it's built and, you know, if there's a problem, then we could address it at that time? Is that something that, I know I heard or read that somewhere in some of the conversations. So I don't know if that's something that, this commission ever considers. Give us a chance to actually run it and see if there's a
Right.
problem.
Well, I just want, again, the engineer got this at 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
I
that's-
want him
and
to
that's
review
my
it.
fault.
That's
I
part of our
apologize.
process here.
Yeah.
So, you know, he should be able to review it by next meeting.
You should be able to, yes. Yep, and that's something that if the commission wants me to explore, if it's something that the commission feels is necessary out of an abundance of caution, that, again, this is a special permit. So this is not just a site plan, a special permit, you can have some conditions.
Mhm.
Now, if it's something that traffic is reviewed and, if cues are found that they shall come back before it or something, I can explore that. Just to make sure, A, we're always on legal footing. But, that's something, again, it's the commission's decision on how you would like to address this.
Commissioner Woods, when you talk to Lieutenant Dean, could you also ask him? I think I know the answer to the question, but I want him to answer it because his opinion counts, mine doesn't. Right. I don't believe there's any problem at that intersection right now. I don't think we've had any issues with it at all. It's interesting. If you look at this plan, I think they've done a really good job. They have more queuing spaces than they have parking spaces. They know it's a drive-through restaurant. They've done an excellent job of being able to, chances of them having 14 cars in the queue on any kind of a regular basis is almost zero. I'm a donut holics, or I guess now it's just Dunkin'. And I'm there every single day, and 79 East Cedar Street, which we just did not that long ago. I had some concerns with that because of parking and the way that the queue line worked. Very seldom does that queue go on the other side of the entrance, or actually the exit, and crossover at even at the busiest times, and that's when I'm there, in the morning and early afternoon. Very, very rare is there one or two cars on the other side. And if it is, it's like momentarily, within 30 seconds. So again, they're in the business, they're getting the food in that car as fast as they can, so they can get the other one. But I think it would help us if there is no issue, then I don't want to spend too much time creating an issue that doesn't exist.
Correct.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
Another question for the traffic engineer here. You've been listening to all this, talking about the trucks coming down. You must have had that information in your initial traffic study. To a certain degree, you must have addressed the truck traffic coming
But
down.
I didn't have numbers of trucks specifically, but we did take the traffic volume data from the 3323 project, because they had, it's not, I'm guessing not fully open, fully occupied as of yet. So rather than doing our own counts, we used that data because it included their projections for new traffic. And we did analyze the intersection, and the capacity analysis indicates that, the maximum queue here would be about 100 feet. So, and I think the driveway is about 100 feet from the stop bar. So, and that's the 95th percentile queue, means it's exceeded sometimes. And, our maximum queue is maybe you'll get to 14 sometimes. But are the two of them going to occur simultaneously and block each other? It's going to be a rare occasion. And even if, there were 3 trucks coming out and they blocked our driveway completely, well, our customers have the ability to go up to the next driveway, go around and come in. If they can't get out, they're not really interrupting traffic operations on Costello Road or the Berlin Turnpike. They're just inside the site waiting. So that's not really a major concern. So I think in a lot of ways we're covered. And I think, if they have 10 times the customers we thought they were going to have, this place is going to be such a bonus that they're going to want to figure out a way to get people in and out of there faster and safer and more efficiently. They're going to be knocking on your door saying, we're going to make this change. Is it okay? And I'm sure Paul's going to say, yeah, we talked about it at the hearing. Let's go ahead and make that modification. So, but if they, they're going to be happy to operate the way that with the numbers that they've told us. And even if they're 10% higher than that, not an issue. 20% higher than that, probably not an issue. But if they go well above and beyond that, they're going to be the ones back here saying, we got to make this modification, or they'll probably just cone it off and put a sign up and just to keep it moving, because the only way they make money is by getting people in and out of the place. So, but again, if you can't get in the first time you come, you're not coming back. If you come 3 or 4 times and you like it, well, they close the driveway, you'll come back the next time because now you're hooked, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Hoffman.
Yeah, the one thing that I was curious about is we know we have a second entrance farther up the street. Not everybody's gonna know that at first. So you're gonna find somebody who's blocked that traffic entrance into your site. And somebody's gonna come around off the pike and they're gonna stop. And they're gonna go, I can't get in. And they're gonna start, and if as many cars as you hope come up, now it starts to stack up onto the pike. Because people maybe not really sure what they do because the driveway's blocked. And unless you have some kind of a, I don't know, a sign or second entrance or something to.
Some of those smaller signs that Mr. Hinckley's been taking off of all the other
One of
properties,
those,
you
yeah.
know, for short term, yeah.
But there's gonna be somebody who's gonna stop and wait for that big truck to get out of the way.
Even if the engine's not there, someone can stop it. I think unfortunately, from an engineering standpoint, we can't always engineer out. My mother would say.
Well, you're right.
But sometimes you can't engineer out every scenario. We try, but that may happen. It may.
Well,
but
again,
I don't think that-
if you're the first time here and there's two trucks blocking the entrance, you might not even know that that was the entrance. You might just continue down until you find the next one. If you've been here once or twice, you might be familiar with it and you won't worry and you'll just go. And of course, if you get there and it's blocked and you might say, I just need a place to turn around, you'll go up and probably end up turning around in our parking lot anyways, in which case you'll find your way to the store. So can it happen? Certainly. Is it a major concern? I don't think so.
Until it is.
That's always the way things are, right?
Commissioner Woods? Well, do we have the ability, because it appears the applicant is open to this, to put a condition in the approval, if it gets to that we can revisit, see if there are any traffic concerns? 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, that probably need to be 12 months. 6 months isn't good enough. 12 months would be a long enough period to really know if there's issue. Can we do that?
I think
And I don't
typically,
want it to
yes.
go on forever. but-
Yeah, on a special permit, typically you can have those things. Special permit are one of the only things you can actually have sometimes have a duration or a condition down the future, especially if it's something that's offered by the applicant too. That makes it a lot easier for the commission. You know, and that's the question would have had with the a discussion with the applicant is, a traffic management plan. Well, it might be something, this is very similar when you see Chick-fil-A, for example. Again, they had a long queue, but the way it was designed, they had the second entrance, it caused an actual issue on that one, and they just put up a sign, so they adapted. So if it's something that forward thinking, okay, if this happens, here's what we'll do. If this gets bad, here's what we'll do. So if that's something that the applicant was willing to, show on the plan and it revisits it and say, okay, yes, it's at least understood on the record and as part of the approval that if this happens in the future with this operator or even a future operator of the site. So again, not Taco John's, something that had a very, slower service time with a very high demand, that's something that could be revisited, at least included on the plan and the special permit, that if there is an issue, that this would be thought to be implemented so we could have that discussion. I think that might be a good working solution.
So think about that for.
Yeah, I think
It doesn't
we'll-
look like he's gonna approve this tonight, so.
We'll
Think
certainly
about that.
consider that and bring something back to you if we can. And if we're gonna put a time limit on it to come back, I would think I would tie that to a certificate of occupancy, not to an approval by this
Yeah,
commission,
I would
because,
agree.
you want to give them a chance to open up and get moving and.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, when the door's open.
certainly.
Because we can't judge it when the doors are closed.
Obviously, well, a lot of times someone will say 6 months and then it's 2 days after the doors open and we all remember what happened at Krispy Kreme when they first opened, so.
Yeah.
We want to give you enough time to make sure it works, so.
Yep. And,
Right.
and I would think of a condition like that, again, we'll work with the applicant, but I wouldn't even want to necessarily, and you can decide how you want to do this, but I wouldn't want the applicant to have to come back here, spend a lot of time, resources, that if there isn't an issue, this might just be something that is a review of staff that comes back and does a report to the commission. And if there is a problem, then the applicant gets called back in. Because again, I don't want to penalize them for a potential future thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
and I'm green at this part of it, so you'll have to bear with me. Can we get them in any earlier than 23rd? Or is there a legal requirement that we couldn't do that?
No, our next meeting would be the 23rd.
Yeah, can we get them in?
You'd have to have a special meeting.
They will be here on the 23rd, yeah. Yes,
No, no.
they'll,
Yeah,
the next meeting.
The next meeting is whatever, 23rd.
I think he's asking if we have a meeting sooner than that, correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
I would say,
There's money, right, for them.
yep,
as well.
time is money. However, redoing that, we'd have to redo legal notices. We would actually, even for like the next meeting now, we're too close to even do a legal notice. So like, if we did a special meeting, it would be after the next meeting. So I think keeping the
I'm just
timeline.
asking.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it would be, and the key thing when you continue a public hearing is announcing when you continue it to. Because any interested party who would be following along has to notice that the hearing is there. If you change the date, then it causes a lot of notifications
I'm
that have
just
to go out.
trying to see if we can assist them in that.
Any other commission questions?
We appreciate that, Commissioner.
We'll keep this open until the next meeting.
That's
Okay.
what I hear. Yep.
And then please get in contact with the town engineer to make sure we're all, so we have everything done.
We
Okay.
will hound him. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Woods, move to continue the public hearing for application TPZ -25-4 to the April 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Petition B, EPZ 25-4 zoning regulation text amendment to add section 6.9 alternative energy accessory structures. AES applicant town planning, Newington Planning and Zoning Commission, contact Paul Dixon. Continued from 26 March.
Okay, so what I wanted to bring up, I did contact the town attorney to discuss this. Let's see if I can get this up. So the one item I just want to bring, this is in your packet, is we did come up with a potential draft language for a decommissioning plan. The one item when I was talking to the town attorney, originally the thing was like whether it goes to bond, we didn't necessarily want to go down that bond path. So it was thinking about how this could be a legally enforceable mechanism that it does need to be, removed from the site if it's no longer occupied. So, you don't have the batteries just sitting there on the site. Staff would be recommending this would be continued because that review is currently with the town attorney and we are exploring ways to do that. But again, it's the decommissioning plan. So prior to the issuance of a certificate of completion / compliance and before any BESS may be energized, a decommissioning plan endorsed by both the operator and the property owner shall be filed on the land records and provided to the fire marshal. Such plan should include information pertaining to a description of the activities necessary to allow for the BESS to be safely de-energized and readied for removal from the premises, a provision for the notification to all local agencies having jurisdiction prior to the commencement of any decommissioning activities, and a statement confirming that the obligations associated with the operation of any such system shall be binding upon any future property owner, regardless of changes to the system operator for the duration such system is energized or operational. So that's again our draft language. This might change slightly, but I wanted to get it in front of the commission. That was what was discussed at the last meeting. We're continuing this forward. If you have any comments on this, please let me know. I can make adjustments. If not, I will just continue the review with the town attorney. And the plan is to hopefully have something for you at the next meeting, a final regulation that can be discussed.
Any questions, Commissioner Akins?
Yeah, I have one question here. We're talking about decommissioning after this thing is shut down. How do we know when it gets shut down? Is it possible they shut it down and it sits there for 10 years not running, or?
Yep, that's a good question because these are new. That's something where you would either typically, this might have to be a physical observation. On the site, you're on there. Typically, if this thing was decommissioned, it would likely be, the site was unoccupied. Because when you have an operator on site and a business operating, there is an owner who's there. The most concerns I would have with decommissioning is a site goes into bankruptcy. No one is around on that one. And no one's there to kind of operate and monitor things. Eversource comes in, cuts the power. You would typically see the pigtail up top disconnected from the grid. You would see something along that nature. You might even see a building permit or electrical permit. But that is something that we would have to figure out because these are brand new for us. So that is something I can definitely look into on what we typically would see when these things are de-energized.
Commissioner Minor has his hand raised online, Mr. Chairman.
Al?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Commissioner Minor online.
Oh, Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, Paul, my greater concern with the decommissioning would not necessarily be an actual property owner, but a third-party operator. That would be my concern, and the language that you presented is readying a unit to be decommissioned. I'm just wondering if there's no way that we can extend that beyond that. Once it is decommissioned, that it has to be removed within a specific period of time. That's just my concern with a third-party operator versus a property owner.
Yep, I will definitely look into that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Woods.
On those lines, Paul, I'm assuming this property owner is gonna have a lease with whoever the operator is, right? Could it be incorporated into the lease and we need to see that prior? You know, do we have that kind of authority? I mean, that would, for me, it'd be nice and clean, right?
Mhm.
And I would think the property owner would wanna do that anyway. I'd be very surprised if, the site gets abandoned, they've gotta take everything and they want a clean plate. They want, like it's never been there. But it'd be nice if we could do that.
Yep,
That's a
and
legal question.
yeah, and I'll bring that up too. And that actually, it's a good question. And I think, zoning can only go so far
Yeah.
with private agreements, but that's something that I can talk to actually this property owner and, because of course we know that there's a site who's interested in doing this. Talk to the property owner and talk to the operator to see how they typically fashion their agreements. Because yeah, you would think if you were a property owner and you're allowing this
I
on your
would.
property and you're leasing it to someone, you would have that in there. So
But
there might be
that'd
double protection.
That would be expensive to get rid of.
Cause it's just like, for example, site bonds. When we do something with a site bond,
Yeah.
normally the contractor has a bond with the owner and then they have an erosion control bond with us. So they're double bonded for most site plans when you have those things or
I fight it
subdivisions.
all the time.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, Commissioner Harpy.
the vice chair made a good point about how awkward it is to deal with the bonds, and what California has done is gone to letters of credit. So the owner, if it's the owner that's got control of this thing, whoever just won, whatever the deal is, would have to post a letter of credit in our favor. And California won't exceed 5 years with this system. You're either gonna change it out or shut her down.
Yeah.
So it would be to the credit of the individual company that's running this thing to qualify for a letter of credit. But it'd be something that would be housed here at the town hall, listing us as a beneficiary at a certain dollar amount, I guess would have to be established. The bank would go for it. But would it make any sense to do a walkthrough if this thing takes any lift at all towards reality? Because it's difficult to envision what we're really looking at. And I know in California, you have 3 options. You can put it inside the building. Fire marshal comes down and sees that, Superman can't see through the lead. And then there's the roof of the building, and then there's what they're pitching. So there's 3 options of operation and installation.
Yeah, and for, or the jurisdiction of the TPZ and the zoning regulations only extends to what's happening outside of the building, as far as energy goes. The rest of that is building code, fire code.
Anyway,
Yeah, and that does happen. And the letter of credits so the letter of credits do have actually a cost associated with them too. And it is a cost to either, you kind of have 2 things. Number 1, you pay for it. And number 2, you have your money held hostage in the bank. Cause that's what it is. It is a literal, cause that's what we have with 3333 Berlin Turnpike. Right now, there's $90,000 that's locked up. Originally they had it at, I think it was like $1.3 million that they had locked up. So luckily they were able to reduce that to actually pay off a lot of the work that was done. But it does lock that up in the bank very specifically. The bonds are hard, like surety bonds, for example. That's something actually the town doesn't even accept, just because they're very hard to,
They're impossible.
to actually enforce.
The letter of credit's straightforward.
Yes, so it's something, again,
It's up to the entity to pay the fees, not us. So we'd have to be damn careful that this guy would have the credit quality to do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Paul, Commissioner Harvey brought up an interesting point. What is the life expectancy of this thing?
So that I do not have an exact number, and I will get it for you.
No, I'm curious because as Commissioner Harvey brought up, and I just started thinking about Yankee Nuclear in Haddam that got shut down. All right, that was running, I don't know, 25, 30, 40 years, whatever it was, but that's decommissioned. And, I'm starting to think about this now. We don't know how long this is going to be or what the life expectancy of it is. And, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 30 years. So, I mean, I'd like to know what the average life expectancy of this thing would be.
Yeah.
And that's something we could predicate that letter of credit on or whatever. Because I'm concerned with, okay, the property gets sold from person A to person B to person C, that letter of credit would carry through. But what happens when the last person gets it, it gets decommissioned? So, and it might cost, I'm gonna throw a number, $1 million today to decommission that thing. Maybe by the time they actually get to it, it could be 5 million.
25 or 30 years.
25, 30.
So I was thinking, I had 20 is what we talked about with the applicant, with a potential applicant in the past, but I just didn't have the exact figure, but
Well,
yeah.
if you're looking at a truthful thing on Google.
Yeah, but yeah,
25 or 30 years.
and it really actually depends on the composition of the batteries. There's a lot of back and forth. So not everything, one of these will be lithium ion. We're moving towards more solid state right now with the technology. Technology will keep getting better. These things will either, again, that's why they have the limit in the size. They might have a future BESS that actually takes up a ton of space, but is basically just a brick of carbon. And that's the way things are moving. There's different opportunities out there, but the technology will keep evolving, and it's very hard to write a regulation for just one specific technology when we know a year from now, 2 years from now, it could be very different.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to keep the hearing open.
So moved.
No, I'm gonna read it in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Word.
All right, TPZ
Then on the-
25-4 zoning regulation text amendment to section 6.9 alternative energy. I move to continue the meeting, the public hearing for application TPZ 25-4 till April 23rd meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next is petition EPZ petition 25-3 special permit, section 3.15.3, a restaurant at 196 Kitts Lane, aka 192 Kitts Lane, and 196-206 Kitts Lane in the BBT zone, which is the Berlin Turnpike zone. Applicant contact Patrick Chain, owner, 172 Kitts Lane.
Jackson or Patrick, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, hello. So I'm Jackson Xiao. I'm the manager, and I'm gonna be representing Patrick for
Yeah,
today's
could you
meeting because
please,
he's sick.
could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Jackson Xiao, and the address is 196 Kitts Lane.
All right, let's make one point, Mr. Chairman. I did speak to the original applicant, Patrick Chan, today, and he is sick. He's gonna send an email later today.
Sorry, you spoke to him today, what?
I spoke to him and he is sick, so he couldn't attend the meeting. Nice, that's why
Right, okay. that's
Jackson
fine,
is representing him this evening.
But we
All right.
just wanted to make that clear for the record because it is a different
Okay.
person listed.
That's fine. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So Jackson, if you could just kind of give a kind of a presentation about what you're proposing, the details about it, and go from there to tell the commission what you're proposing on site.
Okay, so we want to open up an Asian style buffet restaurant at 196 Kitts Lane. And it's going to be a all you can eat experience where you can grab your own food. And we are going to have a variety of food options. So we just want to provide some good quality food to the community. And the hours of operation as of now is 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And the peak occupancy for the restaurant is we envisioned that it's gonna be 326 seats. But in reality, I don't think that we are going to have that many seats. And yeah, this is it.
Commissioners, any questions?
I have a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Hoffman.
This particular facility, is this the first of one that you're going to be putting on, or do you have others around the state or around New England?
So Jackson, that question was for you. Did you hear it?
Yeah. Can you repeat that question?
Yes, is this your first opening of a buffet, or do you have others that are around the state or around the New England area?
Oh yeah, we have a couple restaurant at Tennessee's. This is the first restaurant in Connecticut.
Okay. So you have done this before then?
Yeah, we have done this before.
All right, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Any other questions?
I would imagine the only issue here might be parking.
Yep, so that's, and again, so I'll jump into the planner's report if you'd like. So this, there are 953 spaces per site plan, 957 existing on the survey. We visited this site and actually, well, I should say the commission recently approved the pickleball facility for this site with the 16 courts, and that's on the northern side. There is a significant amount of parking. The parking regulations are irrespective of uses. So as far as a regulatory sense, there is, that they meet the requirements. There is a lot of parking. The staff, actually, I do have some pictures of the site where I think actually the parking lot does need to be improved in some areas. And if the commission chooses to add that as a condition of approval, that had been directed to the applicant. And I think when you look at these sites, having that many seats, I think we've all kind of been in a buffet before. We've been in restaurants where I think it would be rare that every table is completely occupied. Normally you'd have a couple of just two, some of three, sometimes you have the larger tables. So again, I think it'll be very variable and hard to predict exactly how many parking spaces they would need at their peak occupancy. But I think there is a good amount of ability to shift within this parking lot. And there is really, other than on the site itself, there's very limited ability to park anywhere else. And the property owner owns this entire plaza, including the Joey Garlics as well. So that'll be up to the property owner to manage their parking to make sure, again, the Joey Garlics is pretty far away from this location. If someone can't find a parking space, if they really want to go, they might park over in that corner and walk over. I can definitely see it being more intense, of course, right in front of it, that the owner will have to have some work together with Stop and Shop. If both these are hitting around the same peak occupancy, that side of the parking lot is now going to be very full. At least on this one, it is close enough to the other side of the drive aisle where people may choose to go over there and not go over to where it's hectic on the other side. Again, with 957 spaces, there is pretty high capacity on this site. What I can actually do to go through, if I want to show you a couple pictures. So again, highlighted where the site is. This is the space that we're talking about. Again, it actually is not the full space next to Stop and Shop. There's a secondary door right there. If you look at the building plan that they showed you, there'll be a small space left over there for retail. And there's actually, an empty space on the other side of it as well. So right now it's not a current peak occupancy. As more special permits or if more uses come in, another special permit comes in, you'd look at that use cumulatively. But again, it's irrespective of uses. This thing is very far away from Kits Lane. The probability of someone, nothing's never, but the probability of someone parking on Kits Lane and trying to walk all the way here, they're more likely not going to find a parking space and leave. It is so far away from the road. Talking to the town engineer, he didn't seem to have any issues with this application. And as far as staff, our main concern is we hadn't really heard the details. We asked for a narrative. I know there's been some, communication back and forth, but it's good to know that that's the hours, peak hours, 9 o'clock. And I think there's going to be a lot on the property owner here to make sure that they manage parking. There are spaces behind. Stop and Shop and this use. So there's about room for about 63 vehicles behind. And that's something that will be on the property owner, that if spaces aren't available for the patrons, they do need to make sure that their employees park behind it. This is a problem that we have with every retail use. It happens on Market Square where people park in front of their businesses. It happens on other one where employees park in front and try to get the closest spaces. So that is a little bit of the parking management on site. We have not seen an issue on this site in the past. If we do, that's something that we would communicate with the owner and, you know, again, inform them that you need to have a plan that puts it that makes sure that your employees are not taking up prime parking spaces and forcing people to go really far away.
Any questions? Commissioner Harpy?
What was previously in that area?
What was that?
What was the business in the
I believe it was a medical office.
medical office?
You wanna go
Is
through
that close to Joey Garlic's?
So this is almost as far as Joey Garlic's away as you can get other than Stop and Shop.
Here's Joey Garlic's up here in the upper left.
It's almost due east.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
here's where the restaurant's going to be.
What's that, Michael's or something like that?
Michael's was in this plaza.
Okay.
I don't remember, it was that,
Petco?
The Halloween.
there was a
shop.
Petco in there one
Oh,
time.
No, the Petco's still there.
Okay.
Petco's a
Oh, is
different
it?
building.
Yeah, I think Petco's still there.
Petco's
That
still
was-
there.
That was like a Halloween store.
Party City used to
Party
be.
City, yep.
City is what it
Yeah, Bob's was there.
Never want to go into. Yeah.
was.
Yeah, and again, and I think, you know, the commission and thinking about this site, you've driven by it at its peak occupancy on a Black Friday with those type of uses that were in there. Did you ever see an issue on this site? That's, I think, when you can use your local knowledge as part of the commission to really, you know, your understanding of this site. I do not have a long depth of history. You know, I've been here for 2 years, so I have not seen an issue on this site. It's kind of going through mixed occupancy. The current owner has purchased it and is bringing new uses to it, which is good. But the one thing I did want to point out, I think you've all kind of maybe been through this parking lot, maybe by the Stop and Shop. Actually, just after, when I was taking these pictures, there was a truck who was patching potholes. They did patch the bigger ones. I think there are some areas of unraveling pavement that just need a little more attention, whether it's looking at further patching, sealing areas to make sure they don't degrade any further. So this is, and again, when it came up on the pickleball, we really were looking at the areas where those customers would be parking. We did not focus on this area of the site, because again, it's not necessarily fair to one tenant in a corner to say, you need to look at the entirety of all of the property that has nothing to do with the impact of your application. This area will be used by the patrons for this. So you can see, you know, further ways, you can see the Stop and Shop, the location of this proposed area. You can see it's really hard to see, but the blue awning. So that's where this location is. So there's some curbing missing around the islands that's been, of course, blown apart by plows over the years. You have some unraveling pavement that was more recently patched. I think Eric can kind of run through these. Go to the next. This kind of gives you an idea. The other one I showed you was on the other side of this. You can see some fresh patching that was just put in there, but I think it needs, again, just to make sure that this is properly sealed and protected so it doesn't continue to deteriorate. So that would be something that, you know, staff would be asked for a potential condition that if you would entertain that they would work with us. And I think the applicant should answer, or I would like if the applicant could answer to the commission whether they do have an issue with that on site. I believe we did get an email that from him that said, yeah, we'll fix what we're responsible to fix on the site.
Yeah.
Any other questions? And what's the commission's pleasure?
So if I could, I think the applicant was about to answer to the condition of the lot. So if you could.
Yeah, so we actually know the owner. We would like work with the owner to repair the roads if necessary, yeah.
What do you want to do?
What's a public hearing?
Public
We have to do the, not that anybody's here, but we still gotta go through the motion.
All right.
Yes.
Is there anyone speaking in favor of this?
There's no one online, Mr. Chairman?
Anybody speaking up against it? One online?
One online.
No one online.
What's the commission's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the public hearing for application TPC -25-3.
Is there a second? Second.
Second,
All in
Fox.
favor? You might have something.
He
Commissioner
seconded
Fox?
too,
did you-
He seconded.
Okay.
Yeah.
He can have.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna close the public hearing.
Yep.
All right.
So if you, just to let the applicant know, if you stick around, that it would be taken up a little later tonight for the actual
Yeah.
decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Commissioner Woods.
Petition 25-5 zoning regulation text amendment to section 6.1. Street parking and loading regulations. Add section 6.1.1 L, correct?
Yes.
Electric vehicle parking requirements. And amend section 9.2 definitions to add a definition for electrical vehicle charging station. Applicant Newington TPC contacts Walden.
Okay. So I will read this in for the record, what the actual amendment is. So again, as noted, this is section 6.1.1 parking. In the copy that I've submitted to the clerk and advertised that item A through K are omitted for display purposes, and item L, and just remind the commission, this is something that I think we worked through for about 2 or 3 meetings to kind of work on the language, to discuss whether it was for installation of chargers, installation of infrastructure. And I can report too that this has been a topic of the planners listserv as we discussed it. I've actually sent this copy to another planner and he was actually happy to get it. And basically his response is a very well-reasoned way of dealing with this type of use, because the intent of the regulation, again, is for infrastructure. There are other parts of the state against the Clean Air Act and the Public Act that required the DOT to install the chargers. When you do schools, you have to install the chargers. It was specific for sites like this that you would do the infrastructure. So again, the amendment is electrical vehicle parking requirements. Off-street parking spaces shall be dedicated to electric vehicles as follows. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Any new commercial or multifamily development, including mixed-use development with 30 or more designated spaces for cars or light-duty trucks, shall include electrical vehicle charging infrastructure that is capable of supporting level 2 electric vehicle charging stations or level 3 fast charging stations in at least 10% of such parking spaces. Such infrastructure includes, but is not limited to, underground conduit, junction boxes, and adequate electrical design. Adequate electrical design includes dedicated locations for required electrical components, including, but not limited to, transformers and electrical switchgear with a capacity to supply power to the charging stations. 2, applicability. For the purpose of this section, new commercial or multifamily development, including mixed-use development, shall include redevelopment of an existing property that disturbs more than 50% of the existing developed area of the site or increases the overall floor area, number of parking spaces, or impervious surface of the site by more than 50%. And then section 9.2 definitions, add definition, electric vehicle charging station. A public or private parking space that is served by battery charging equipment with the purpose of charging an electric or hybrid vehicle. EV charging station types. A, level 1, slow charging, operates on a 15 to 20 amp breaker on 120 volt AC circuit. B, level 2, medium charging, operates on a 40 to 100 amp breaker on a 208 volt or 240 volt AC circuit. C, level 3, direct current fast charging, operates on a 60 amp or higher breaker on a 480 volt or higher 3-phase circuit with special grounding equipment. So that is the regulation. We did get the response back from the Council of Governments, and there was no issues, again, with the plan. I should actually potentially bring that up. I don't know if you want to bring up that letter so we can show it for the record. But from there, again, it's compliant with the POCD. You notice in your staff report, a very specific part of the POC basically says vehicle charging stations, that they're encouraged, that we should add them. So from there, actually what I'll get you is the exact language is energy consumption, page 33, provide for electric car charging stations. It is a part of the sustainability and resiliency section of the P O C D, the 2020 to 2030 plan. So that was one of the bullet points. Again, these are fine-tune items. They're not, don't normally show up in the regs, but this again says provide for them. So this does follow what the P O C D, the goals of the P O C D.
Okay,
I have it up if
any
you.
questions?
Yep,
Commissioner
you need to
Arthur?
replace the share.
Given what's been going on with, well, nationally, I guess, with some destruction of these vehicles themselves. And I'm concerned a little bit about the charging areas where I just don't know how they'd be protected from any kind of vandalism or, you know, given the fact the potential of some very serious fires breaking out. Maybe it's something that we can't do anything about, but I just wonder, you know, maybe what's going on will pace itself out.
Yeah.
You're either been put away for life or
Yeah.
what's going on, I don't know, but
It's, you know, to quote kind of the thing is, you know, if we look at that, that would be looking at right now, we consider that the weather. Rather, you know, the current environment we're in right now, rather than the climate for electrical vehicle charging stations, the long-term look at what we're doing. Right now, there's some people, we know that, but someone targeting a specific thing, I think that would kind of be outside of our scope typically looking at it. It's a concern of the people who own them. But the main thing to look at too is this regulation only requires them to put in the infrastructure. So this was part of the discussions at the TPZ when we went over this regulation previously is there are some uses that will, you know, could potentially, that could cause them an issue. I've talked to developers who worked in other towns who are putting in new quick service restaurants, new things like that, where they're like, people aren't dwelling long enough to actually use these chargers and they lost spaces, or other restaurants where, you know, some municipalities have something like 20% are required to do. So 20% of your parking is dedicated to an EV only. Then they're having problems at their restaurant not having enough parking spaces. So the way this crafted, I think, is a thoughtful way. Again, it puts it into the owner's thing. If they have people who need to use these, if they have residents in multifamily, if they are a longer sit-down type of establishment that someone would be there for an hour or two, because it's really, for a level 2 charger, you need an hour or two to even get you down the road. You need about 4 hours to 5 hours to actually charge it on an electric, you know, so that's a long dwell time to actually sit at a specific use. Leaving it, again, it's that demand. If there's demand from their customers to put it in, but the most important thing, the intent of this public act is that it's not cost prohibitive because you'd have to rip up the site. This makes sure that they thoughtfully put it in there. And again, that's part of the adequate electrical supply. We're not requiring the transformer being put in because transformers are still a little hard to get, not as hard as they were to get a year ago. But transformers and the switchgear is very expensive, and it doesn't require them to put the wire in the conduit too, because the wire can change depending on if you put this station, another year, another station comes out, there might be a different requirement for that type of different gauge wire. You know, there's too many variables in this to finally regulate it and then have it so someone is just throwing money at a project of something that won't be used. I think this is a good way to, again, plan for the future, to make sure sites aren't ripped up. That people don't have to pay for ripping up concrete, sidewalks, pavement. It just future proofs that part of the site and does leave it to if there is demand for it on the site. You know, there are some sites who might want to do this and come in and put in a supercharger station. This infrastructure is kind of there for them already. The property owner can look at it, they can have those discussions, and then at least the infrastructure is there and ready for them.
Just as a
Yeah,
point of interest.
I wasn't, you know, saying it's our responsibility. I was just wondering how that would work its way through the system.
I'd say good policing.
Settle down eventually.
Yeah, which is beyond even what, you know, this is extra stress on towns right now. And again, it's people's behaviors. We can't regulate behavior.
I think he was.
No, I was just gonna point out that just as if you, the Taco John's plan, they're proposing a number of EV charging stations, just
Right.
as part of their plan anyway.
Yep, and that's the infrastructure.
Yep.
That they have it on the infrastructure, it's set aside, it's understood where they go on the site. And yeah, working together with Ashley Furniture, there might be 45 minutes to an hour of dwell time inside there, and they might have a demand to do it, so they could choose to install those. The Taco John's itself probably wouldn't have a long enough dwell time for someone sitting there to make it worth it to charge in the station. You'd have to give it away for free, basically, for them to use it.
Eating contest or something.
Yeah.
So
Any
is
other-
that,
any other questions?
Eversource comes out and looks at those things, or who has the last word on the installation of the charger itself?
That would
Building
be through a building permit, so that'd be reviewed by the building official and the fire marshal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? No?
So staff's request is actually, it's kind of that, if you have no issues with this regulation, we haven't received any comments, on it. We would actually ask that the public hearing be closed, but because we have another regulation, again, we would ask that the public hearing be closed and then later in the meeting, we table this just for the sake of the clerk's time and my staff's time and sanity, not to have to do the regulations 2 weeks later, do the regulations, file everything again. That ideally that if the best is, the alternative energy is approved, that we would, I would ask for approval at that time. And that way we update the regulations once for efficiency.
Especially since they're so closely related.
See, we're gonna close the public hearing.
Yes.
So I make a motion.
Oh. Did we call for,
You need to still call for it.
we still need to call for it.
Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this?
There's no one online, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody wishing to speak against this, commission, this motion? All right,
Okay.
I'm good. I move to close a public hearing for application TPC 25 5.
is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes from TPZ meeting 3/26/25.
Yep, so I'd like to add that, our apologies, the wrong physical copy was included in your packet, but the packet that went out online and the following up email did include the other, did include the correct set of meetings. Again, it was more of a printing error, but the correct information was put in the packet and out to the public and on the clerk's site. So if the commission would like time to review it, staff has no issue. If you had time to review it based on that email, approve tonight. But again, this is not an urgent must approve if you need time to review it.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, new business. Petition, TPZ petition 25-3, special permit section 3.15.3. A restaurant 196 Kitts Lane, AKA 162, 192 Kitts Lane, and 196, 206 Kitts Lane in the BBT zone, Business Berlin Turnpike Zone. Applicant contact Patrick Chan, owner 172 Kitts Lane. Read the motion, Steve.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Oh, here it is. Move to approve the conditions. One, the deteriorated areas of the parking lot shall be repaired prior to zoning approval of the certificate of occupancy and any other conditions added by the commission.
You don't need
There are
that.
none.
Yeah.
Unless you choose to do so.
Reasons for approval of this application with modification meets the requirements of both the zoning regulations and special permit requirements.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The next one is DPZ petition 25-5, zoning regulations text amendment, section 6.1, street parking and loading regulations, add section 6.1.1L, electric vehicle parking requirements, amended section 9.2 definitions to add definitions for electric vehicle charging station. Applicant Newington TPZ, contact Paul Dixon.
I'll move the table application of TPC -25-5 to the April 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Second. Second, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Under old business,
So item A, because the public hearing is continued, no action is required.
okay, and same would be,
Same with B.
okay? Petitions for scheduling.
Yep, it's not on here right now, but we do have, I think I noted the last time, we got 207 Deming, right?
207 Deming
Good, I
and
didn't transpose it.
3050 Berlin Turnpike.
Yep, so 207 Deming, we did give them the response to comments. That's the Scottish Rite.
Scottish Rite Temple.
Yep, as you've seen on site, they demoed the two buildings and they'll be coming in for a dining hall. They've received our comments, and then we're gonna be getting plans back from them, and it should be either on the next meeting or the meeting after that. We just have to watch the timeframes for it. And we did receive a petition, I believe it was this week or late last week. This week, from 690 Cedar, One Meyer Cohen. So their expiration for their site plan is coming up in a year. Again, they've been through back and forth. It has been some time. The property finally sold, so they'll be coming in for a extension of the approval time because they just missed by about 4 months the COVID extension that took site plans from 5 to 14 years. So they just missed that one by a couple months.
Didn't they start though with the site work?
So yeah, so they do have an active site plan.
Yeah.
It just expires a year from now. And there are some.
Even if it's under construction, it would still, it has to be completed.
Has to be completed.
Completed. Yeah, that's a funny
I thought it had
thing.
to be started, but it has to be completed.
Yes. Yeah,
That's a
so,
big- That's a big point.
yes. So they'll be coming for that, and there's also some other minor modifications to the site. Again, we just received it. We have to review it, but that should be on an upcoming meeting for you as well.
Okay. That's the current application there at town planner update.
Yep, so I do not have too much to update tonight, although I will say that the survey is live for the town center master plan. So this is it's the survey that replicates the charrette that was held on March 8th. Again, this is very similar to the same questions. It really is about the design, the sense of place, density, how we want to see this area kind of develop out. And again, looking at it, because of course we know there likely will be new regulations needed for any future development, of course, of Hartford Healthcare as owned public land, but that's a community question. Again, when it'll come before this board, when it goes to a regulation amendment. But right now, we're really trying to get the community's input. Again, it is live. It is a little longer. It can take 20 minutes to finish. We do ask people to stick in there because this actually really does matter for when we look forward. And this will be the information that's also presented to the TPZ for feedback on any regulations of what the community wants to see to provide a foundation for those zoning regulations. So I'd encourage any of those listening along. I know the town manager also announced it at last night's town council meeting. And we've already received a little bit of feedback, but I would say anyone who's done it, even those who have done the charrette, you have another opportunity because I think it was a great experience.
I heard positive feedback from the people that I know that attended.
Yeah, it worked well. It's a model for how I would like most of what we do for our plans to continue forward that require a lot of public input, is really to get people around the table talking, discussing, and get your ideas out there and get them working together. Because it's one thing to just sit and provide your opinion. If you're working together as a working group, you kind of work off each other and you come up with great ideas. So I think that was a great benefit. I will be doing the same thing on any future planning, working forward, any larger studies, but I think it is a valuable way to do it. But please do the survey. Any of those who didn't go, the commission, 20 minutes more of your time on top of the time that you already donate to the town, but it would be much appreciated. Other than that, I don't have too many updates at this time.
Commissioner Woods, can you let the applicant from 196, he's still on, I'm assuming he
Yeah.
doesn't know that we've approved his.
I think you heard, but it's Jonathan. You are all set. You have been approved. You will be hearing from us with a letter for the approval, and then we will work from there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure he doesn't want to watch this.
It doesn't want to listen to me drone on.
Good stuff. Yeah. Paul, have you thought about trying to put some blurb in a reminder telling people that it's online? I'm asking a question. I don't know, because I want to make sure we reach as many people or residents as possible. Whether it's a blurb and a rare reminder or Newington Life or whatever. Because I know sometimes people get on the website, it is a mess sometimes. So I just want to make sure people know what's out there.
Mhm.
So I don't want people saying, well, I didn't have any input into it or anything like that. I want to give everybody as much possible input, much possible information that's there. Go take a look at it. Please put your input into it. That's what I'd like to see.
Yep. Oh, yeah, look into the rare reminder. Again, I think, let's say Wednesday, so it wouldn't be, it could be next week's,
Until Thursday now.
but Thursday, yeah.
And I don't know if there's any other publications around town. Maybe we can get another thought is maybe get something to the chamber.
Yep.
And have them post it near businesses and.
Yeah, I could do very similar, just, it just went online last week. After vacation, there was a lot to dig out from, but I think doing what I did for the actual charrette itself. I went to businesses and the businesses were great and working with me. Most of them were like, yeah, post it in my window, do this. I got boards over here. There was a lot of support for
I
it.
just want to make sure everybody has a shot at this because people will say, well, I didn't have any input or this or that. I want to make sure this is free and open and clear and transparent. That's what I'm after.
Understood.
Thank you. That was it. Okay. Public participation, second round.
No one online has their hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Remarks by commissioners. Hearing none. Okay. I want to thank everybody for your participation tonight. I think we had a good meeting. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone, and thank you.